Investing involves risk. You might lose the money you start with. We recommend talking to a licensed financial advisor. We also recommend reading product disclosure documents before deciding to invest. Everything you're about to see and hear is current at the time of recording.
It's a special week on Shared Lunch. To mark the recent launch of Sharesies Crypto, we're going to be diving into 5 conversations all about crypto, from how it's evolving to what investors need to know in 2025 and beyond. Just a note though, some of these episodes were recorded earlier in the year, so some market prices and movements may have changed. Today in our second episode, Brooke Roberts, co-CEO of Sharesies, talks to Victoria Harris from The Curve, and she asks her, has crypto gone mainstream?
Hey Vic, so great to have you join us at, late your time, early-ish hours.
No, thanks for having me.
You and Sophie have set up, The Curve, this financial education platform for women that's, all around the world, which is really exciting. I'm really intrigued to understand what conversations you're seeing happen around crypto in your community.
It's like with anything, right? The more mainstream it becomes, the more in the media, the more in the newspapers, like the more interest there is. It's around you more. You want to know more about it. It's definitely getting a lot more interest with our community. The other thing though that really frustrates me sometimes with any asset that does well, people, there's an increased talk about it. And when something is doing not so well, no one really wants to talk about it. And we've seen that exactly with crypto. And now as it's starting to become a lot more mainstream, there is definitely more interest, more curiosity, and just more women asking questions, really.
Are you seeing people pick it up as part of their investing portfolio more at the moment?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more interest. I think as it becomes more mainstream and easier for people to invest in, there's also a lot more questions being asked, like you can buy crypto ETFs now, right? Like you couldn't do that long ago. And so for someone who is, in our community and fairly new to investing, simplicity is key. And so if something, if you're using Sharesies to buy funds and shares, and then you have to go somewhere else to buy this different asset, it creates that extra barrier, that extra set of, extra bit of learning and understanding a different platform and how, a different asset works and how to buy and sell it and stuff. And so it just creates a bit more confusion, there's a bit more jargon, and so people just don't really do it. So I think, making it easier for people to access, has its pluses and minuses, but it also, creates a lot more interest. It means people dabble a bit more, people who, might have not, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And yes, it's in the headlines and everything, but it's not in front of them in terms of accessibility. So they might have been like, I'll leave that and come back to it another day. And now being like, oh, you know what? I think I'll just dabble a little bit and start building my confidence and my understanding that way. But particularly with women, I think with any investment, we take a much more considered approach. We research things that we invest in a lot more. We want to understand them a bit more, which can sometimes be to our detriment because we do that too much and swing too much the other way. But it's the same with crypto as it is with shares. Women want to understand how it works and what moves it and the supply and demand and all of that, and want to understand what's going to drive the price higher in the future. And so there is that maybe a bit more of a slower adoption than for men or for people that have been in the finance world for a lot longer.
Yeah, I was just even reflecting on my own journey. I was kind of crypto curious 2017, 2018. So a few of us set up a bit of a crypto club. We put a little bit of money away each week. But at the start, I just tried to buy Bitcoin myself. I was like, how do you do this? I had to find a wallet, hide this key somewhere. I was like, what is this,
And how do I sell it? And like, how do I get out of it? How do I actually withdraw money? Like all of that. Like if you think about before Sharesies came along, right? Like how hard and difficult it was to buy and sell shares. And now it's so easy, it's so simple, and therefore a lot more people do it. And I think that's effectively what's happening with crypto at the moment with crypto ETFs, for example. That's kind of one step. But, I genuinely think in kind of 2, 3, 5 years time, it will be a bigger part of people's portfolios because more people understand what it is and it'll be easier to invest in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what, we've had thousands of people ask us, hey, can you please add crypto to your platform?
Yeah.
And we are seeing more people in the industry. You used to manage funds. We're seeing fund managers now hold percentages of their portfolio in cryptocurrencies or exchange traded funds.
Yeah.
What do you do when it comes to cryptocurrency? How have your views shifted over the years?
I was very cautious in the beginning. Naturally, that's just my way of investing. I like to understand and know what I invest in. And yes, I may have missed the early stages of crypto prices going up, but I invested purely from an education for our audience point of view as well. It's like they were asking me questions and I was like, okay, well, I need to actually go through the motions and go through the process. And so I actually know what I'm talking about. And so we invested a little bit in, I think, 2022 in Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then almost got a little, not a little nervous, but doubled my money. And I was like, oh, okay, awesome. I'm going to sell. And sold in 2024. And it's gone on to do, miles better. So it was, pretty bad idea to sell at the time, but hindsight's great. But yeah, I mean, it was, and I haven't gone back in. So for me, I guess I come back to I like to understand and know what I invest in and have as good line of sight as I can possibly have of the future growth of that asset or that investment. I'm very familiar with investing in property and very, very familiar with investing in stocks. And so there is just so many things to invest in nowadays. I kind of have taught myself not to get too phased by any missed opportunities too much, because there's always a new opportunity around the corner. There's always going to be a new company coming out of the woodwork, or a market cycle that happens that therefore prices are really attractive again. And so yes, I've kind of would have sold way too early in terms of my crypto, but I think there is place for cryptocurrencies in portfolios. Don't get me wrong. I just think what scares me is when people get excited and get hyped up and put way too much and don't understand the risks. And so that's a whole thing that we've been educating about. Is like, I had a friend come up to me a few years ago and she was like, Vic, I've just sold my business. She had this fashion business and she's like, I've just sold it. I don't know much about investing, but I want to put it all into crypto. And I was like, oh, no, please don't. I was like, do you know the risks? I do know, like, maybe spread it around. And I think that's key, right? It comes back to the age-old saying of diversification. It's like, yes, there's a place for crypto in many portfolios for people if they want that level of risk, but make sure that it's balanced with other things. So you're not putting everything in that, because it is a volatile asset. It does go up and down, and we've seen it. And I can't count the number of headlines where, crypto's up, crypto's down.
For me, I've been on that same journey with being like on my investing journey is, at the start, and especially when you're in the market so much and everybody's talking to you about all these investments, I've got to get into that, that's a winner or whatever, Yeah. And then just like actually building a portfolio over time with money, amounts you can afford, it statistically pays off. My kids' portfolios do better than mine often,
Yeah. It's also, I feel like with crypto, there's this mentality of like a trading mentality. Like you've got to get in, get out, and it's kind of, I think it's also really important that, when we invest in stocks and when we invest in funds and, we do invest for the long term or for a long period of time, because there is that volatility. Yet for crypto, for some reason, it's just, it's still got that perception of a short-term win, or you get lucky, or you put money in and it goes up straight away. And it's like, no, it's still a high-risk asset. And so if you are going to invest in it, you should be taking that long-term view, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And as we've seen, and completely agree. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, I guess the other thing that does scare me with crypto is I think for people, particularly new to investing, that, I would just hate someone to invest in something that they thought was a lot more safer than it is and not understand the true risks. But I think it's getting there, and I think it's quite interesting when you have such a deregulated asset that's becoming more regulated, and therefore, like it's quite counterintuitive. But when platforms like yourselves, continue to make it easier for people to invest in, it's going to take time in terms of education and understanding, but it's quite neat to see something else that people can get excited about and invest in, and a new type of technology, and just that new addition to a lot of people's portfolios, because sometimes it gets a bit boring talking about bonds and and property, and you're going to get sick of talking about the same thing. So it's nice to have a kind of, it's not really a new asset, but it's become a lot more popular.
I was just reflecting on our crypto club we set up years ago, and we just put a little bit away every week. And I remember, so at the start I'd track it a bit, and it was like, woo, and I was like, and it's like, but consistency has kind of paid off over time. But also you learnt that to ride that roller coaster early on. I was like, who knows what's going to happen next week, but look, this is, it's amounts that I can afford. And we'll see.
And dollar
where it
cost
goes,
averaging
and it's a longer term.
So great for a volatile asset. Like, it's just, so it just gives you such peace of mind. You're not looking at like when it's going to go up, when it's going to go down. You just like kind of set and forget. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll let you get some sleep. But thank you so much for talking to us today.
Cool. Thanks, Brooke.
Crypto is generally considered a high-risk investment. It's not suitable for everyone, especially if you're uncomfortable with the potential of losing some or all of your investment. For more information on crypto and its specific risks, check out sharesies.nz/crypto. Sharesies Crypto is offered by Sharesies Crypto Limited.